I'm Mr. Black, this is Beyond Creepy, and in this video I'm going to be discussing winged humanoid cases. Fortean researcher John Keel spent years compiling winged humanoid cases, publishing multiple books on the topic. Winged men have been around for hundreds of years, fluttering about in our skies, confusing onlookers. My friend Lon Strickler, of the Phantoms and Monsters blog, has spent the past few years documenting literally hundreds of flying humanoid cases, specifically in the Chicago area. These types of cases are still coming in almost on a daily basis. In July 1990, a firefighter-paramedic living in Sydney, Ohio, claims he encountered a bizarre winged being at around 3 p.m. in the afternoon while walking home. A significant thunderstorm had left the skyline eerily dark, the perfect setting for what was to come next. As the winds began picking up, he noticed a white object against the darkening sky. At first I thought it was a large piece of white paper or sheet. Then I noticed it was like flapping its wings. From his perspective, the object flew from his right to his left, approximately 400 feet up and 120 yards from him at about 25 degrees. It was large and very white. It looked humanoid but taller and muscular. He described the being as standing around 8 or 9 feet tall, human-like, all white with large white wings. Due to its muscular build, he believed it to be male. He guessed the wingspan to be approximately 5 to 6 feet from center to tip. In his mind, the only thing the witness could compare it to was, quote, an angel. It had a huge wingspan and flapped just like a bird's wings would. I couldn't make out smaller details like hair or facial features, but it had a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, and 2 wings. It was flying from east to west, not with the wind. The sighting lasted only about 45 seconds. On Wednesday, November 21st, 2018, a woman driving with her fiancé in Ravenna, Ohio, claims they encountered a huge flying creature. It was 5:45 p.m. They were sitting at a red light when something flew over the hospital building not far from them. Speaking to cryptozoologynews.com, the woman described it as being 2 or 3 times the size of their vehicle. It had elbow-like wings. It was darker than the sky, and the wings were huge, she noted. I'm glad we both saw it, not just one of us. Their sighting of the unidentified animal lasted only about 10 seconds. The Singular Fortean Society recently spoke to a woman named Bette Dodson about an encounter she had back in 1986 when she was only 18 years old. At the time, she was driving to visit her sister in Silverstone off Highway 421 in North Carolina. I stopped at a stop sign off 421 where my headlights were shining directly on a barn straight ahead. I saw this winged, human-like creature running alongside the front of the barn. It was around 6 to 7 feet tall, dark, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and huge wings. Speaking to Tobias Wayland, she described the creature as, quote, part bird, part man, and noted that it appeared to be wearing combat boots. It freaked me out, she told Wayland. At that point, she sped away. She soon realized that the creature had noticed her and had given chase. I made a left turn and sped up, questioning what the heck I was seeing. I heard wings flapping, looked into my driver's side mirror, and could see this thing almost on top of my car following me. It kept up with my speed, which I would estimate at about 45 to 50 miles per hour on a very curvy 2-lane road. It followed behind and beside my vehicle for several miles. The creature attacked her automobile as she fled, during which time the car's electrical system seemed to drain. Fortean enthusiasts will note that this occurrence of car stalling is often associated with the UFO phenomenon. My VW engine was sputtering, and seemingly the battery was being drained, the headlights dimming as I nervously rounded corners. This winged thing was flying over and pretty much clinging to the driver's side of my car. It was hitting my car. It was smacking into it. I didn't understand why he was on the driver's side hitting my car. I felt like he was trying to get inside my vehicle. He was trying to get to me. Like her car's battery, Dotson's memory seems to also fade around this time. She doesn't recall what happened immediately after the attack. When she came to, some 4 hours later, she was still sitting behind the wheel and still driving. I saw a sign that read Camp Joy, and I had no clue how I got off my normal route. How did I get over here? She had left for her sister's house at around 8 p.m. It was after midnight when she finally walked in her front door. When I got home and realized what the time was, I was further puzzled. The trip that generally took no more than 20 minutes to see my sister had taken 4 hours. I was absolutely scared sick. When I finally made it back home, I was in tears. Curiously, this wasn't her first run-in with the paranormal. A few years earlier, Dotson claims that she had seen a shadowy figure with a, quote, bird face and a weird grin in her home while sitting in bed reading a book. She first saw the shadowy figure cross her hallway before the thing peered around the doorway into her room. She sat frozen in fear until the creature pulled back. It never reappeared. In 1981, she was awoken at 2 a.m. to a bright light flooding her room. She recalled thinking that the nearby mountain range had caught fire, and this was the cause of the light. When she looked out of her window, she observed not a mountain on fire, but a cigar-shaped craft emitting twin beams of light, the sight of which left her paralyzed. Afterwards, she said she suffered from symptoms of shock and fatigue, and a higher than normal body temperature. She wonders if all these things are connected to each other. I know of at least 2 cases in which winged humanoids were seen either exiting or entering a UFO, so it is possible that these things are connected, especially after you hear the next case. A woman named Mary Ledbetter claims that when she was 6 years old, she encountered an odd winged entity that she believes read her mind. Her sighting suggests that these beings, whatever they are, might be more than just flesh and blood creatures that have avoided capture, but something far beyond our scope of understanding. Curiously, Mary's memory of the encounter eluded her for some 40 years. It wasn't until a camping trip with 3 friends where they, on a cloudless night, observed a UFO did the memory of the event come back to her. After the camping trip, I started to think about what my friends and what I had just seen. That's when it hit me like a ton of bricks of what happened to me back in the 60s, when that bat-looking thing grabbed me by the back of my head and stopped me where I was just standing in the middle of the trail watching the older kids in front of me racing to the clubhouse. Mary claims that when she was 6, she was hanging out with some kids during the summer. On the day in question, she and the other children were making their way up a trail towards a homemade clubhouse they had built in the woods in Alton, Illinois, where they had lived. One of the kids had the idea of racing to the clubhouse. Mary wasn't a fast runner and she fell behind the others on the trail. This is when a winged beast emerged out of the forest and grabbed her. They just kept on running and never looked back at me when I was stopped by this gargoyle bat devil-looking thing that had me paralyzed. She claims that the creature read her mind, apparently looking for information pertaining to, quote, technology. She also recalled being able to see into its mind at the same time, a telepathic link that went both ways. After it was done with reading my brain for technology, it let me go. It looked like a gargoyle with huge bat wings. I lived in Alton, Illinois at the time, back in the 60s. This is true. This gargoyle bat-looking thing erased my memory for over 40 years. Then one day, I just started to remember, to my horror. My hopes are one day to be hypnotized to see if I have any memories of this gargoyle thing's technology, because as he was reading my brain, I could see his too. So that being said, there's no telling what memory of its technology I have.
Are these winged creature sightings somehow connected to the UFO phenomenon? In the Mary Ledbetter case, it does sound like a lot of abductees describe that beings are able to, read their minds, telepathically link to them, and then wipe their memories. It's sort of what happened in the Mary Ledbetter case. And in the other case, it reminded me of the fact that this being was able to drain her car's power, and also apparently there's a missing time involved. It makes you wonder if these winged creature sightings are somehow connected to the UFO phenomenon. I have no idea.